In the alley, by the bins, scowled Mr. Whiskers, with a twist of his grumpy grin. Miss Grumplepaws, with fur like night, sat atop the fence, her mood a fright. Grumpy Gus, with a sour stare, glared from the window without a care. Sir Pout-a-Lot, with a furrowed brow, lounged on the porch, a grumpy fellow. Lord Sullen, with a disdainful glance, lounged on the rug in a grumpy trance. Miss Miserable, with eyes like coal, hunched in the corner, her mood taking its toll. Sour Puss Sam, with a gruff growl, prowled the yard with a frown on his scowl. Grumperstein, with a furrowed fur, slinked through the shadows, a grump connoisseur. Grumpy Greta, with a snippy snarl, sat on the stoop, her patience far. Sir Sourface, with a cantankerous gaze, sat in the sun in a grumpy daze. Miss Murmurer, with a grumble soft, slinked through the grass, her mood aloft. Grumpy George, with a huff and a puff, sat on the bench, his temper rough. Meet Grumpy Gus, with fur as gray as dust, he scowls at the world in a never-ending fuss. Grumpy Greta, with eyes as green as leaves, she sulks in the shadows, not a single purr she believes. Grumpy George, with whiskers wild and free, he grumbles and grunts, as grumpy as can be. Grumpy Gwen, with fur as black as night, she hisses and growls, giving a fright. Grumpy Greg, with a face like thunder, he pouts and he mopes, with a grumpy's cat wonder. Grumpy Gigi, with a tail as fluffy as cloud, she snarls and she snuffs, her grumpiness not allowed. But who's that peeking through the fence? It's Grumpy Greg, with no pretense. Grumpy Greg, with a huff and a snort, is grumpiness a mighty fart. Grumpy Gwen, all gray and glum, hardly ever tapped a drum. Along came Grumpy Gabby, with a scowl so grand, her grumpiness you couldn't withstand. Next door lived Grumpy Grace, with her permanent frown, she rarely smiled, always feeling down. For in their grumps, they found delight, a shared grumpiness that felt just right. They realized then, with a grumpy grin, that grumpy cats could let joy in.